So recently, I saw one particular scene in a movie that really put me off. It's one scene in the movie where villain of the movie picks up one piece of cake. Okay, he feeds the cake to this person on his right, and then feeds it to a person on his left, and then immediately next scene they show him explicitly washing his hands. And we are supposed to understand from it that casteism. It's untouchability at play. We are supposed to understand that. But my question is, what if he wasn't casteist? What if he just wanted personal hygiene? It's pretty natural to want to wash your hands, even if it's Queen Elizabeth you feed. Right? But now he can't because people around him are watching him, carefully observing him. So he doesn't wash his hands. By the end of the evening, flies are surrounding it, buffaloes are following him home. The next day he puts his hand on his wife. His wife is like, "Take your hand off. You are stupid. You are ignorant." Not a casteist though. And 2 days later he looks around, he's finally up, nobody's washing. And he starts washing his hands, suddenly a camera crew pops out. Late casteism. Guys. Like, I'm telling you, dude, this kind of neo wokeness there is starting to affect people around me also. Like, I don't know how many of you watch CSK games here? You watch CSK matches here? Are you aware of this one player called Kedar Jadhav? Kedar Jadhav is that person who 18th over of a T20 over match will defend the ball. Okay, as soon as I saw that scene, I'm like, asshole Kedar Jadhav. Right? A friend next to me goes, "Hey, you can't say that about Kedar Jadhav." I'm like, why? Why can't I criticize Kedar Jadhav? He's like, Kedar Jadhav alone you can't do. I'm like, why? Everybody before him have criticized, right? Dhoni have criticized. Because Kedar Jadhav is from an oppressed community. I'm like, shit, man. If he was from a forward community, I could have wholeheartedly abused this guy. If he was a Brahmin, no, I could have used a caste slur to insult to Parpana Naya. But then I thought, wait a second, who's casteist here? Okay, I saw him as a good or a bad cricketer. Okay, this friend of mine is the asshole who went there and read, Kedar Jadhav, which caste? Like, Tamil cinema has taken it upon itself to effect social change. Okay, the intention is great, but their actions are confusing us. Because if you look at the previous wave of cinemas, starting from 1990s up until the 2010s, the underlying theme of every cinema was take pride in your caste. You should be proud of your caste. And now suddenly they're saying, hey, there's nothing to be proud of. Tamil cinema has always glorified all of the upper caste. Okay, now when you're representing the oppressed communities, start glorifying them. Some of them are actually heroes, unlike these actors we see on screen. Like, have you guys seen this movie called Jai Bhim? Are you aware of that character called Raja Kanna? How he deals with the snake. You remember seeing that? With the cobra. Like, I'm like, that's one of the massest scenes I've ever seen. So it comes from a community that's called the Irrular community. And if you're not aware of this community, you haven't been to Crocodile Bank the way I have. Crocodile Bank is on ECR Road. But when you take a left instead, you enter a den with about 200 of the most poisonous snakes in the country. And in between these 200 snakes, two Irrulars. Smoking a cigarette, pretending like nothing is happening. On my way inside, I was immediately telling my friend, Machan, there must be close to 200 snakes here. And he's like, hey, listen, I know what these guys do. Okay, they would have removed the teeth of each of these snakes. And suddenly then, one of the Irula started responding to us in English. Because sometimes they give this tour to foreigners, they had to learn English. English needed training. Dealing with poisonous snakes, that came naturally. So they started giving and then when he was talking to us, we noticed that right behind him was this cobra. Right? Whenever he spoke, the cobra kept shaking his head like that. He's moving to a right, the cobra is looking like this. He's moving to his left, the cobra is looking like that. And he started telling us, listen, okay, we don't remove the teeth of these snakes. If we remove the teeth, maximum in 2 days, the snakes will be dead. So that's akin to be doing something illegal and killing the snake. So we don't remove the teeth of the snakes at all. And we noticed that when he was talking to us, one of his fingers was missing. We're like, sir, but what happened to your finger? He's like, oh, finger. Ramu took it. We're like, who's Ramu, sir? This cobra right here. and then he started his demo, right? This is called the Russell's Viper. If this guy bites 4 hours. This is great. If this guy bites you, 3 hours. But more dangerous than these two is this cobra who's right behind me. If this guy bites you, 2 hours. But unlike the other two, he has a short temper. You want to see? I'm like, no sir. We don't want to see. And then he's like, okay, now the demo has come to an end. Do you guys remember the names? My friend is like, yes sir, we remember the names. 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours. But your name, sir, must be Mr. Infinity.